Hey, what's up? It's Larold, and GGG unexpectedly dropped patch 0.3.1 yesterday at like 7:45 p.m. on a random Tuesday here in America. I think it was like right in the middle of their workday for them there in New Zealand, so yeah, whatever, it's good. So we had a lot of uncertainties going into this patch, and thankfully they've all been put to rest, and we're going to just kind of give an overview of what's changed in the patch, which is a lot. A lot of things that you'll want to keep an eye out for as you're negotiating the things that are now different, and then also just kind of talk about some of the stuff that needs to be tested and figured out. So let's get into it, but first be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join our Discord as well, we're over 1,300 members and still growing strong. We streamed our initial test of this patch last night here and on Twitch. We also hit affiliate over on the Twitch account pretty recently, so check that out as well. Links in the description. Random streams popping up whenever. You know the drill. Alright, so let's go ahead and kind of hit on some of these patch notes here quickly. We knew that towers were basically being phased out. You could use them to, like, see more stuff around the tower. That's really all that they are. They're otherwise just another map. They're kind of not bad layouts, though, now. Like, towers have almost done, like, a full 180, a 360. You turn all the way around, and then you walk into the tower. The layouts are pretty good. The map bosses, for the most part, are pretty easy. They don't require like a lot of like going back and forth in different directions. And thankfully, a lot of the maps that did have a lot of backtracking or were just like gigantic have also been reduced in size. So, you know, a lot more tighter maps essentially. So tablets being gone and tablets just being a thing that you apply to your maps is pretty great. You shove them into, you know, if I can open up the map window here. You just shove them in down here, down below your maps, and you run a map, and then they stay there. They have a finite number of charges, just like they did before, except instead of applying to a number of maps around a tower, now they just have 10 uses, and you burn through a use every single time you run a map, up to running out of all 10 uses, in which case you have to replace them, like I need to do with that third tablet there. The amount of tablets that you're able to use is based on the number of mods that a map has, so I can show that off pretty easily as well. If I just grab, like, here's a 1-mod map, I'm only going to be able to run one tablet with a 1-mod map. Oh my god, you can see it locks it off. It even says you need a waystone with more explicit mods. I'm surprised it doesn't say that the number is 3, but the number is 3 for 2 tablets and 6 for 3 tablets. You know, pretty much the standard as it was for towers beforehand. Tablets can't be applied to areas that you've already attempted and failed. You know, that if you die in a map that's got 6 mods, tablets are wasted. You can still do the map, but you can't put tablets on it. You know, it's all pretty much as we would have kind of expected. And also they gave a bunch of buffs to tablet modifiers. This is because now instead of being able to have 3 or 4 tower overlaps as we could in some previous spots, like this one that I'm showing off right here where I had 3 towers overlapping this valley of maps here, you know, you're not going to have... This would have been 9 tablets overlapping these maps. That's obviously not possible now. You can only have 3 on each map, but rather than just going like, okay, nobody gets any more loot, they have instead buffed the tablet modifiers by quite a lot, and they did kind of unveil this in a very, very hard to read way. You have to know what all of these mods do, and I don't know them, and I think about this a lot. So obviously the average player who's looking at this is going to just be like, I don't know what bountiful means. Basically what they have done is they've taken quantity, which was 3 to 7%, bit of a typo here, 3 to 7%, bumped that up to 4 to 10%. That was previously kind of the only modifier on a tablet that really mattered. You just wanted to make sure that it had quantity as a prefix, like this tablet right here, and bump that only up to a potential of 10%. Whereas a lot of the other modifiers, such as rarity, which previously was 7 to 10%, is now 10 to 30%. A lot of the other modifiers have gotten massive buffs. Rare monsters, you previously could get 10 to 15% increased number of rare monsters. Now it's 15 to 40. Magic monsters, I think, was... Who cares, but I think it's teaming is the name of the mod, so we can go back to here. Previously it was 15 to 25. Now it is 25 to 70, which means if you get triple rolls on a set of good magic monster modifiers, you can get 210% increased magic monsters in your maps. That is a lot of magic monsters. So what this means is it's going to open up a lot more potential for different types of farm strategies. Previously, the way that you rolled maps, the way that you rolled tablets, the way that you set everything up was quantity on all your map prefixes, and then whatever on the suffixes, and then you just hunted rare monsters with as much rarity on your character as possible. That's pretty much it. That's how you find currency, the end. This has really opened up a lot of possibilities. You might be able to, if you get a high roll on basically any of these mods that give like more magic monsters or rare monsters or rarity or quantity or potentially even pack size, that can be pretty valuable in terms of finding more stuff in your maps. Obviously, experience and gold aren't going to help with finding more stuff in your maps, and I don't think rare chests is really going to be that great, but otherwise, I think a lot of these mods that previously weren't very good are now a lot more competitive. There are also some buffs to different mods, such as the mod that in maps with a boss would guarantee like an essence. Previously this would just give you 1 essence. Now it has a roll range of 1 to 2. This mod right here, of crystals, previously a roll range of 1, now it's a roll range of 1 to 2. Additionally, every single map in the game now has a boss in it, and there are kind of 2 tiers of bosses. This is on top of the Atlas passive tree with boss stuff in it, and I do recommend taking this node here, Fit for a King. I think Fit for a King and Spoils of War together is probably better than having Beyond Reality now. You may disagree, you can take Beyond Reality if you want, but I kind of would rather have the Quant and Rarity from every single map boss, since there's going to be one in every single map. But now there are powerful map bosses, which you can either get from an Overseer tablet, which I think I ate through my last one, but I've been using those in every single map, or you can get them from maps that are flagged with the map boss icon. So one thing that GGG did that was like kind of nice for those of us who'd played a lot and had rolled up a bunch of areas of their maps is they didn't wipe all of this stuff off. All of this tablet effect that you previously had is still there. I have 31% increased quantity of items found in this map, and I can then also apply tablets on top of that and get essentially double dipping bonus. So there is like a reward for having played earlier in the league rather than kind of having all of your previous efforts be invalidated by this set of changes, which is very nice. With that being said, all of the tablet modifiers are much higher value now, which does mean that all of your old tablets, which as you can see, they have very clearly indicated the amount of uses remaining on all the tablets very nicely. But with that being said, like all of these old tablets, for the most part, are worthless now. They carry the old value on modifiers that they did before. Like this one you can see here has 10% increased number of rare monsters. The roll range on that is now 15 to 40. So this is just straight up worse than just like any old tab that you can find. So you can re-roll all of these by taking them over to the reforging bench, and that is exactly what I'm going to do with these, just to show off something that's important here. And that is that when you re-roll them, they have a cap of 10 maps that they will affect. So it will re-roll down to 10 uses, but unless you're really starved for tablets, I think it's worth doing, because as you can see, that was a trio of very bad tablets that now has 37% increased number of rare monsters, 25% reduced tribute. Like, this is a really good ritual tab that I just rolled up, having come from straight up garbage. So, if you want to sit here and roll up a bunch of tablets all at once, maybe turn on a movie. It's the month of October. I recommend Under the Skin. Nice and scary movie, really, really deeply unsettling movie. That's a good way to like burn through 100 plus. I think I have like 600 tablets here that I need to roll up, and that's probably what I'm going to watch while I'm doing it. Now, there is one exception to this, and that is the Overseer tablets. These are the bossing tablets. I've actually already rolled all of these up. So previously, these only had 2 to 4 maps that they would apply to. Now they all apply to 10, so you can combine these together. They will cap at 10, but they will add together the number of maps that you had on the tablets available when you rolled them together. Like, that's why this one is 6. I didn't find one and use it 4 times. I think I rolled together 3 2-use tabs that were all bad, and then they rolled up to 6. So because of some of these bonuses in the passive tree, the bossing tree here that require powerful map bosses, the Crystal Realm bonus, which I like essences, so I'm taking that, and then Organized Forces, you kind of have an incentive to always run the powerful map boss tablet, the Overseer tablet, in all of your maps, and that's because having an Overseer tablet adds 1 level to all of your maps in the same way that running an Irradiated tablet, if I pull up an Irradiated tablet here, this would add +1 level to all of your maps, but having a boss, an empowered boss, also adds +1 level to your maps. They don't stack with each other, and also getting an empowered boss is just more rewarding than not getting an empowered boss. So what this kind of does is it kind of makes all of these precursor tablets, the just irradiated ones, worthless, maybe worse anyways. You know, if you get a good set of mod roll ranges on them, you can use them, especially on maps that randomly have spawned with an empowered boss, then that's a place to use them instead, I guess, but they're not really doing anything except for having good mods on them. Irradiating a map, you know, if you have an empowered boss, basically doesn't do anything, and you pretty much have the option to have an empowered boss in every map, and I think as of testing right now, it seems like that is the right approach. You get a lot of stuff out of bosses. The suffixes on these overseer tablets are really good. They can add a lot of quantity. I had one that had like 55% rarity that I was using for, I think I used the whole thing up. But it was adding like a lot of stuff being dropped by the boss. You know, this is a pretty nice looking map, 20% rarity from the map, 20% quantity from the boss. That feels pretty good. I'm definitely excited to use this tablet all the way up. Probably gonna get some nice stuff out of the bosses from that. Now, I will say, the difference between the empowered bosses and non-empowered bosses is noticeable. The regular bosses kind of fall over. The empowered bosses are pretty tanky. Alright, so there are two unique tablets that we kind of want to talk a little bit about here, and those would be Visions of Paradise and the Grand Design. I have a bunch of a handful of Grand Design tablets in my stash. I'll kind of get to that in a second, but I pulled up a Visions of Paradise here. So this is the tablet that previously would allow you to irradiate a bunch of towers around a bunch of maps around a tower. And then when you would complete those maps, instead of becoming completed, they would just remove the irradiation. You kind of could stack several towers together and use this to like run a map a bunch of times in a row. The way that this works now is it is a one-use tablet, so it's one shot. It will irradiate a map, and then if the map wasn't previously irradiated before you had used Visions of Paradise on it, then it will remove the irradiation, which means you only get to run the map 2 times. You get to do it the one time with the Visions of Paradise, and then the one time after without a Visions of Paradise, and then you're done. This seems more in line with GGG's original plan, which is that this is a tablet that lets you run a map 2 times, which is like still very strong for a lot of maps, but for most maps it's like pretty worthless, but it is very strong for a specific handful of maps, things like the Jade Isle, which I have an Eye of the Storm right here, and that's kind of all that it's for, and that's okay. They've also added some more like very obvious visual effects for these like special maps now to indicate that like they're nearby, and these are the maps around it that you want to run to try and unlock the ability to go in there. Then there's the Grand Design, which got a bit of a redesign that ultimately just makes it work exactly the same way. You can only use it on a tower map. It is a one-shot, just like just like the Visions of Paradise is. It's one use, and when you complete the tower with it, it will make all of the nearby maps accessible instantly. This still has the same effect as it did before, where if I had a tower nearby, like I think this tower right here that's in the fog is in range, but maybe even if it's not, maybe it's not. If I had used the one on this tower, you don't have to do any of the adjacent maps to unlock the Jade Isle. It just immediately allows you to jump right in there. That goes for all of these fancy special maps that have a special extra difficult boss. You're able to just jump directly into them if you've Grand Design on a tower that's within range of them. Okay, so like I said, it's quite a large patch for being a small mid-league patch. It's really, really quite large. And I think the big takeaway here is in terms of how you want to run your tablets, how you want to look for mods on tablets, I think it basically boils down to mod roll ranges. If you get a tablet like this one that has like a pretty high roll on rare monsters, that probably is worth using over a mediocre roll on quantity. You know, previously 7% quantity was better than any of the rolls that were available to use on prefixes for any of the tablets, because the alternatives were like 15% rarity, 15% rare monsters, like they just weren't very good. But now that you can get massive increases to the amounts of rare monsters, magic monsters, and rarity from tablets, this is like quite a lot more competitive. It also does mean that the roll ranges matter a lot, though. Like just getting like a 15% rarity map or something or tablet is not going to be good. You do want it to be a pretty good roll range, so it means you have to kind of pay a little bit more attention. But like, this is a great tablet. I would rather have this than 6% quantity 28% rarity, that seems way better to me. There's also one more change that GGG has added that's just a really good quality of life, and that is for map rolling. You can just throw an alchemy orb onto a magic item or a normal item, and it will automatically roll it up to have 4 mods. They did confirm, and we can tell from here, it'll randomize any existing mods that were on it. It just simply puts you at 4 mods, which, like, hey, that's great. That really speeds up the process of map rolling, and you'll love to see it. There have been a lot of other good changes in the patch as well, some bug fixes. Fracturing mirrors were not spawning in Delirium maps. That has been fixed. I've been doing a lot of Delirium mirror farming, and I've been really enjoying that as opposed to like Delirium emotions on maps. I've just really been enjoying the Delirium mirror farming. That's been a lot of fun and pretty rewarding as well. Also, Delirium seems to not be playing the music in the maps, which I hope that's an intentional change. It's not anywhere in the patch notes at all, but I hope that's an intentional change because it's pretty great. Having just the regular map music playing in maps has felt really good. Like, I really found doing Delirium a lot more fun because it's not playing that same oppressive Delirium music the whole time. Alright, so that pretty much covers the big things that we wanted to talk about in terms of changes in the patch. Now I'll just kind of hit you with the Atlas passive tree once again that we've been running here, just in the like handful of hours of streaming and kind of playing around with the patch as it exists so far. And that is taking Fit for a King rather than Beyond Reality, using a combination of, in my case, I'm doing Breach and Delirium mirror tablets on every map. And then Overseer tablets on every map as well, and trying to do like some combination of like quantity, rarity, rare monsters, maybe magic monsters if you got a really good roll on that. Maybe that would be an option as well. And then doing pack size maxing, taking Bountiful Bloodlines and expanding Hordes. Like, this is really good for getting just a lot more monsters in the setup. You know, I'll link a PoE planner link for this so that you can easily copy that in as well. You can definitely play around with other stuff we have as well. Might go back to playing around with that, doing essence stuff since we are guaranteeing an essence in every single map with Crystal Realm and that Overseer tablet. Maybe that's a move. There's potential to kind of go in at like every different direction. You can do essences, strongboxes, rogue exiles, even if you wanted to like fish for Hearts of the Well. That is definitely an option. There's a lot more to play around with, and we're definitely looking forward to doing a lot more of that as this patch progresses. So there it is. That's our initial review of patch 0.3.1. It has really set Path of Exile 2's in-game on the right path. Patch 0.4 is all set up to be an absolute banger. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord, and become part of our community. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more PoE content, become a channel member, or come boost our Discord. Thanks for watching. Bye.